Hey guys, welcome to Fiction Friday. Today I'm going to be reviewing The Farm by Tom Rob Smith. Now this book took me a little bit longer to get finished because I didn't really enjoy it. I mean, it was a pretty thrilling book for the last 100 pages, but what this book is about, it's about a man named Dan, and he's living over in England with his boyfriend Mark. And his dad calls him and is like, listen, there's something not right with your mom. We kind of need you to come here. And the mom and dad are living over in Sweden. They had moved out at some point. And so Dan's like, all right. So he talks to Mark about it. They get a plane ticket. He's ready to fly over to Sweden. And the mom calls and she's like, listen, don't listen to your father. He's lying. There's a whole story behind this. So she's flying over, and by the time he's at the airport, his mom comes up, and he can tell something's not right. Like, his mom doesn't look like the mom he remembers. Now, what you understand from, like, pretty much the first chapter is that Dan was a sheltered child, almost, where he never got to see his parents fight. You know, there was never any arguments or any frustration. So he was pretty much sheltered from that whole, from the whole like aggravation of, you know, what a normal life would be. I mean, you have your positive, your happy days, and then you have your days that everything is just crap. I mean, you know, you're gonna have fights, you're gonna have arguments, that's gonna happen. But Daniel was protected from that. And his mom comes in, he's noticed, like, so what's going on? What's going on? Shh. So she keeps it all under wraps until they get into his house, into really Mark's house, and his mom's just kind of checking everything out to make sure that things are quiet. And then she goes into her story. Now, this book is all based around her story. It's Mark being completely confused, which I really felt very connected to, because for the most part of the book, I was very confused as to what was going on. I had to actually slow down and read this because I didn't quite understand what the mom was trying to say at some points, because it just seemed like her story was a little erratic. And I understand where that point of view is coming from, because it's coming from a woman who claims that some situation happened. Now, that's not a spoiler, because for the whole book, even Dan is like, what situation? You don't find out this situation until about 200 pages in, which is something, like, I mean, it keeps you on, it keeps you suspended almost. It keeps you in suspense of what is going to happen. It's just like, well, there's got to be something, like maybe the next page something will happen. And for me, since I like more books that are a little bit more engaging, this took a little bit too long for me, in my opinion. I don't like, you know, you have your suspense, but I feel like you need to have some more, you know, some more twists that come a little bit faster in the book in order for you to stay connected. Now, I'm not going to say anything more about what happens the rest of the book, but the mom pretty much tells her story, and then book 2 happens. So then, you know, the story continues forward. So you kind of understand what's going on, like I said, about, you know, 150, 200 pages in. Now, the settings, I did like the settings. They were really pretty settings, especially through the mom's perspective of Sweden. Sweden seems like a really gorgeous place. I would like to visit it someday, but right now I just have this book. And, you know, the characterization was really good. I mean, for the most part, I mean, you have everything told through what seems like the ramblings of a madwoman for the beginning part of the book. Are they? I mean, this is a mystery. I mean, you pretty much have to figure out what's going on in Sweden as the mom is telling you, so you may be a little bit confused, just like Dan is throughout the whole book, just like I was. But, you know, the mom seems to have a good grip on what each of the characters are like in Sweden, and they seem like very classic villainy kind of thing. Like, they're all like a small town villain kind of thing. But for the most part, and then the dad comes in, you learn a little bit more about, like, the dad, and, like, she talks more about the father and what goes on with him, and she kind of characterizes him as like, well, he's not the way you think he is. And that's pretty much on the back of the book as well. He's lying to you. Why would he lie to me? I mean, Dan believed his father was a great man, that he was, you know, extremely strong, extremely trustworthy, and the mom kind of puts that all on in question. Now, a main theme, I would say, is again the past. This book heavily relies on past events as well. I mean, as well as current, what's going on in each character's life. The past is heavily referred to, especially with the mom, and even to, in part, Dan as well. He kind of has a bit of his past come up and kind of questioning the things he knew. And that's another theme here, questioning what you know. Because you see a situation, and I think that's actually a very, really good social psychology reference here, is seeing your situation and maybe misconstruing it. That you see things one way and the evidence lying in front of you may point to a certain answer, but you're misconstruing that evidence for something else. So yes, your answer may lie somewhere on that plane, but still, I don't see, how misconstruing is actually helpful, which, that misconstrual of evidence did add to the suspense of the story. It did leave you wanting more. One of my biggest peeves about this book, which is why I only give it 3 stars, is the ending. Now, I may need to go back and read it again, because the ending was very, very, very vague. It left me wanting to, is there another chapter after this page? Like, is this just the end of a chapter and next page is more? No, it just ends very abruptly, like almost mid-sentence, kind of like the ending of The Sopranos. But ends mid-sentence, and you're like, well, what's supposed to happen? I mean, what do you mean by that? Do I need to reread this book again? Did I miss a detail? And to me, I find that very frustrating. But overall, I give this book 3 stars. It was a bit suspenseful. The characterization was pretty well done. But, the story did drag on for what I felt a little bit more. Though, one thing I did like is the mom's telling her story chronologically, which, instead of just bouncing around like we normally do when we're telling a story, it seems a little bit more, the drawn-outness of it. This is not a word, I'm very sorry for that, but the mom drawing out the story the way it is, I like that because it tells you a little bit more about in detail instead of just really rushing the story, but it seemed a little bit drawn out because you didn't know what was happening. It didn't give you a clue as to what she was thinking. So, Tom Rob Smith's The Farm, you'll probably find this book anywhere, just like everything else, any other book. So I hope you guys enjoy it. If you guys read this, let me know what you think. If there's any books you guys would like to recommend, definitely shoot me an email or leave it in the comments down below, and I'll try to read that book as fast as possible. All right? So I'll see you guys.